Have you ever found yourself in a rut? You just cannot get out of it. You feel defeated, beat down. Your mind just can't seem to focus on anything positive. You just feel bleh, not at your best, and you sure as heck don't feel like doing anything. You ever feel like that? Maybe it was last week, yesterday, or even today. I know. I felt that way many times. Matter of fact, just last week, I was going through a little bit of a rut myself. So what do you do to get out of this rut? Well, hopefully, by listening to this podcast will be one good thing for you, right? But the podcast I'm going to talk about today is how to get out of that rut, and that is with salt and light. What? Yeah, you heard me right. Salt and light. Well, how do we do that? Well, listen in, and I'll tell you. But first, you got to listen to our powerful, inspiring, kick-in-the-butt confidence-building intro. So listen in, and I'll be right back with you. Are you ready to learn life-changing strategies on how to bully-proof yourself, your kids, and others? Are you ready to be empowered with hope, faith, and confidence to believe in yourself, to overcome your fears and battle through your challenges, to stand up to any bully you face, both real and in your mind? Well, you've come to the right place. Man, do I love that intro. Woo, yeah. Well, greetings and welcome to another uplifting, motivating, life-changing episode of the Building Warrior Confidence Podcast. What? Wait a minute. Did you say warrior confidence? What happened to bully-proof confidence? What happened to Grogan's bully-proof? Did you change things up again? What's going on here? This might be what you're saying. And yes, you're exactly right, and you have every right to ask. And truthfully, I'm very grateful that you are asking. For our new listeners, like, what's going on here? Warrior confidence, bully-proof confidence, Grogan's bully-proof. Well, those are some of Kickin' Life, some of the previous names of the podcast. And so why I keep changing? I keep changing because, truthfully, it just wasn't right. It just wasn't connecting with the as many audiences as I wanted out there. Because, unfortunately, when I had bully-proof in there, too many people would say, well, I'm not really being bullied, or my kid's not really being bullied. Is that episode or is that podcast right for me? And I'm like, yeah, because the bully I'm talking about is not only the bully on the playground or at work or at school or a family member, but it's the meanest bully. The bully that I'm talking about that we all struggle with is the bully in our mind, the one we see in the mirror, the one that tells us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, the one that says, points out all our flaws and our imperfections, the ones that tries to squash our confidence and belief in ourselves. That's the bully I'm talking about. But unfortunately, that message the message was out there, but it wasn't connecting with the right audiences, because every time I'd ask somebody about my podcast, my show, my books, they'd say, I'm lacking confidence, but I'm not really being bullied. So I'm like, well, all right, fine. Let's focus on the confidence factor. And that's why the bully-proof confidence. But I dug a little deeper, and I think warrior confidence is definitely the way, I want to go, we're going to go with it, to bring out that inner strength, that inner spirit, that inner warrior, that inner fighter that doesn't take that nonsense, doesn't take that crap from somebody else, or doesn't take that repeatedly being bullied in our own mind. That's what I'm talking about warrior confidence. So honestly, it just wasn't right. So that's why I wanted to change it up. And something similar to the Martial Arts Academy with our curriculum, I kept changing it till it became what it needed to be. And it was all about self-empowerment, honor, integrity, discipline, respect, manners, helping kids not only believe in themselves, but adults as well, and educating and coaching the parents as well on how to, get the most out of their kids. Not to put up with the whining and crying and all that. And there's nothing wrong with being sympathetic. And if a child needs a hug and a kiss, I love getting hugs and kisses from my kids all the time, even as old as they are, 22, 19, and 14. But at the same time, helping them learn how to pick themselves back up when they've been hit with a setback or a failure in life. Because they got to learn how to do it on their own. We can help them, but they need to learn how to pick themselves up. Because sooner or later, they're going to be hit with some teenage or adult challenges, and if they've never learned how to handle the challenges when they're younger, they're not going to be equipped with the tools to stand back up on their own. And we all know nothing hits harder than life, and life's going to bring it to them. So we want to help empower them, and that's what the warrior confidence is all about. Good. And I know on the last episode, I kind of talked about trip down memory lane with the Kickin' Life podcast and how that evolved and where we're going. And I feel really, really good about where we're going with this warrior confidence to help reach and empower more people that, the bully proof, it's still a huge part of the message. But a lot of that people weren't connecting. I had one guy who was telling me, I love your messages, but, I want to kind of share them with my son's baseball team, who they work really, really hard. They play really, really hard. But when they get down, they cannot get themselves back up. And I said, well, that's the bully in the mind I'm always talking about. He says, yeah, but I was talking about their confidence. How do you build their confidence? And I said, all right, I appreciate you saying that, because that's something I've heard countless times. And when you hear stuff enough, you can either say, you know what, I'm not changing because this is my way. And there's nothing wrong with, picking hills to die on. And mine is all about empowering kids to believe in themselves, think for themselves, and not be bullied and manipulated by anyone. Doesn't matter if it's a bully or the media or politicians or whatever. I want them to believe in themselves and their God-given talents. And that's the whole part of it. But at the same time, being humble enough to say, you know what, my message is meant for bigger audiences, and I want to get that message out to those bigger audiences. And if, that one word in there is keeping people, bully-proof, because they think it's only for little kids on the playground, then I need to be flexible and adjustable to get the message out. And so that's the reason we did it. Everybody good? Yeah? All right. Well, hey, if it's your first time listening, that's probably like, what in the world is going on here? I thought we were going to talk about this salt and light thing and, self-empowerment and building confidence. Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about, and it's exactly what our mission is that empowerment, that belief in yourself, and I kind of just talked about what the warrior confidence is. So now, let's jump on in there and talk about salt and light. Sound good? Well, this is episode number, 329. Holy smokes. And the title is Building Self-Confidence and Self-Empowerment with Salt and Light. And I'm your host, Master Rich Grogan, and we're going to dive right into this thing. And my goal is to give you as much salt and light as possible, and, of course, eventually tell you what the heck salt and light is. Sound good? All right. As I mentioned, this is episode number 329, and the title, Building Self-Confidence and Self-Empowerment with Salt and Light. So what is salt and light? I mean, really, what is it? Well, if you think about it, salt adds value, and light adds brightness. And when we add salt, value, to someone's life, I mean, is there a higher calling when you make someone feel good about themselves? You bring value to them to help them realize the own value they have inside themselves? Yeah. And then, of course, light, you're bringing light to somebody. You're shining light, brightness on them, because we never know, like I mentioned starting this episode here. Last week, I was in a little bit of a rut. We go through that. I'm human. I'm human. We're all human, right? You have your problems. I have my problems. But the whole idea of, obviously, the show, everything we do, and then this episode right here talking about salt and light is to add that value. I'm hopefully adding value in your life, talking about some of the challenges I've gone through, talking about how, even naming the show, the episode, the YouTube channel, changing things all up there when it's just not right. It's just not right. Why? Because, hopefully I was bringing value with all the episodes I was given to you and you were listening to, but I know I could do a little bit more. I could add a little more salt, right? And I could add a little more light, which brings that brightness. And think about this. When you add value and bring brightness into someone else's life, what's also happening? Yeah, that's exactly right. It's bringing value and light into your life. It's making you feel better. That's that kind of the law of reciprocity, right? What goes out comes back. But guess what? When it comes back, it's so much better. Now, of course, on the other side, a lot of ugliness and a lot of hate going on, not only in the world, but on social media. And a lot of people, they send the hate out continuously, and they wonder why all they're getting back is hate. I wonder why. I like to say karma hits twice as hard. What you put out there, it's coming back with a big right hook of reality and left uppercut of truth. And what you put out comes back. So you got to remember that. That's why I'm saying, hey, man, put out some salt, put out some light. Add that value, add that brightness in people's lives, because people need it now more than ever. I mean, people are craving, starving for something positive, for something valuable, for something to give them hope, faith, and confidence. That's why we talk about that kind of in our mission statement, empowering kids and adults with hope, faith, and confidence to believe in themselves. Sound good? Now, do you have the power to add value and brightness or salt and light to people's lives? Well, let's think about that for a minute. Yeah, absolutely you do. Well, we all have our own unique gifts. We do. God gave us, there's almost 8 billion people on this planet, but there's no one like you. No one has your looks. No one has your intelligence. No one has your height, size, weight. And sure, there's others that, you may fit into a certain group or category, and that's fine. But no one is like you. You have an ability that no one else will ever have. By me telling you that, hopefully I'm adding value to your life. Thinking, well, yeah, I guess I am unique. You doggone right you are. And you can spread salt and light in someone's life in another way that I'll never be able to. But we got to utilize that gift. We got to believe in that gift. Fully utilize that God-given talent to be who we're born to be, to share God's message through our own unique gifts. Why? Well, like I said earlier, the world needs it, and to make the world, make society a happier, healthier, and safer place to live. Can we do it? You doggone right you can do it. But it all starts with, and a little tease here, I completely redid my YouTube channel. Well, the YouTube channel, the videos are still there, but I've hired a company called VidChops, and I'm actually taking a YouTube course on how to be a better content creator and just do a better job with the YouTube channel to continue to add salt and light and add value and brightness. But I hired this company, and our first video, by the time you hear this, it will be out on YouTube, so make sure you check that out. It's Warrior Confidence is our YouTube channel, or you can get there by Grogan's Bully Proof too. 2 avenues to get to our YouTube channel. But they're doing all the editing. They're adding in the video clips, the images, the music behind it, the subtitles, the words that pop up on the screen, and then, of course, they're handling all the editing as well. And the first video I did is the hardest step. That first step's the hardest step. Take that hardest first step. Yeah. No change happens until we commit to taking that step. But why don't most people take that step? Because it's hard, man. It's hard. It's scary. It's intimidating. And once fear gets in there, man, it wipes it out. Well, that's having that warrior confidence to take that first step. But anyway, after you're done listening to this episode, jump on over to our YouTube channel, subscribe there, and I promise you got all kinds of videos coming out so you can be empowered with what I like to say, right hook of reality, left uppercut of truth, a good 1-2 combo to help strengthen that bullyproof armor, to help empower you, to give you that inner strength, that self-confidence, belief in yourself. Because it is tough out there. Now, for our new listeners, thank you so very much for choosing your time to spend with me. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast here, and we're going to keep getting the shows out. We're going to set up to have 2 shows a week coming out. A show we're going to focus on the bullyproof and warrior confidence coming out, and then on Friday we're going to have a quick one that'll come out. It'll be what I call a quick hitter, kind of a weekend challenge, just to give you that warrior confidence challenge on what you can do to strengthen that armor, to add salt and light to people's lives, to be your absolute very, very best, to be able to fend off the bullies in our mind or the bullies in society that come calling for us. And as I talked about on many, many episodes, the bully in our mind's the meanest, nastiest bully we'll ever face. And that bully, we need to deal with it. We need to handle it. We can't just run away and hide from it. Why? Because the more that bully starts chirping in your mind, starts telling you things that are false, right? Yeah, and what does fear stand for? False evidence appearing real. Have you ever heard that before? False evidence appearing real. Meaning the bully in your mind is telling you things that aren't real, but yet they create that thought in there. Maybe somebody in grade school said you were dumb or fat or lazy or stupid. That planted a seed in your mental garden. And that seed, I like to call those things weeds, right? Somebody planted a weed in your mental garden. But in order to plant seeds, positive seeds, like we're talking about on the show today and on all the shows, you got to dig that weed up. You got to confront that weed, suffocate that weed, kill that weed. Because if you don't, that weed will kill all the positive we're trying to plant in your mental garden. And I tell you, anything you plant in a garden is going to grow, as long as you got fertile soil. Well, your mind has the most fertile soil. And that it can be good or bad, right? Well, weeds love fertile soil. Why? That's where they can really bloom. And the thing about a weed, man, it'll pop up anywhere. But it really, really likes to harvest, so to speak, in that fertile soil. And your mind is the most fertile soil. How's that for a little salt and light? Is that good? Yeah. And then, as I mentioned, the not only does the world need it, but we all need it. And what we put out comes back. What we put out comes back. And I want you to put out the very, very best to, once again, not only help others out there, but man, to help yourself. And I've talked about countless times before. Picture this. If you've got a cup and that cup is empty, there's nothing in it. Well, it's really, really hard for you to pour from an empty cup. So if you're defeated, you're down, you're in a rut, you're not feeling your best, man, it's really hard to help out others. Now, here's a crazy thing, what Zig would talk about. Well, first, if you fill up that cup, which is what you're doing by listening to this episode right now and listening to this show, I'm trying to fill that cup up. So now you've got a full cup that you can share with others. Zig would also talk about when you're feeling down, oftentimes that's when people reach out for something, anything. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling in a rut. I got to have something to get me out of this rut. When you're down real low, you start grabbing for straws. It's grabbing for anything. Oftentimes you grab the wrong thing. And if you grab the wrong thing, that can lead you down a wrong path. So Zig talks about, Zig Ziglar, those that are new to listen to the show, I'm a Zig Ziglar certified speaker, trainer, coach, and so just great friends with the Ziglar family. Zig passed away in 2012, but his family is continuing to carry on his legacy. And actually, my son, Austin, works for Howard Partridge, which is business partners with Tom Ziglar. So I'm really, really blessed. And actually today, Zig playing in the car, they've had to pick up my daughter. And she goes, Dad, it's good hearing this again. Because, well, she's 19 now. So her car broke down. So I had to go pick her up someplace from a friend's house to get her back home. But anyway, it was there. And she remembers listening to it as a kid. I bring that up because Zig said oftentimes people will just reach out for something when they're in a rut. And I was just as guilty as that. I was like, gosh darn it, I need to do a better job. And I love doing these shows. That what motivates and picks me up is doing this, spreading what I've learned on to help out others. And obviously by me saying this, I'm hearing the message myself. Wow, crazy how that works, isn't it? But back to Zig, he said, instead of waiting until you get down and reaching and grabbing for straws and maybe grabbing the wrong one, just continue to listen to motivational stuff all the time to stay empowered, to stay inspired, to stay motivated. And that always, every time I say motivated, it's another Ziglar quote. Oftentimes people will say, look, man, that motivation stuff, that doesn't last very long. And his reply to that is, well, neither is bathing. That's why we recommend it every day. Woo, how's that? Is that a good right hook? Bang, right in the chops there. It is. So back to salt and light. I want you to think about what you can do to add value to your own life, add brightness to your own life, and then add that to someone else. Well, can you do it? Absolutely you can. How can you do it? Well, I want you to do it in your own unique way, but here's a few examples. Madeline's my daughter, and Emmett's my youngest son, those that are listening to the show the first time, and my beautiful wife, Desi, who've been married 26 years now. Anyway, Madeline was telling me about how she went into a gas station and got a tea and went up, waited for her turn in line. She could really tell that the lady at the gas station was having one of those days. She was kind of beat down. You could tell she was tired. Madeline says, well, how's your day? And then they stopped and looked at her and says, well, it's kind of rough, but, you're the first person that's asked me that. And Madeline says, well, that's a shame. I mean, here it is, 2:00. She goes, yeah, I get off in an hour. She goes, you've been here all day and no one's asked you how you're doing? And the lady says, honey, you are the sweetest thing I think I've ever seen, and asking about me. And that's all it took was, how was your day? And to think that poor woman had been there for 9 hours and not one person has asked her how her day was. Holy smokes. So what did Madeline do? Unknowingly, she added value to that person's life, and then the salt, right? Salt and light. Now, do you have the ability to do that? Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of times we get caught up in our own world, our own life, and we forget that there are others are out there that are struggling. Yeah. And the old saying, unless you've walked a mile in somebody else's shoes, you have no idea what they're going through. Everybody's fighting their own battles. Everybody's got their own, what I call, bullies or mental demons in their mind. They do. And that's an example, Madeline just doing that. And Madeline actually works at a little restaurant here in Florida called the Shake Station, and fits her personality perfectly. It's a 50s little milk shop place, and we go there often. It's fantastic. We just went with friends after hockey goalie training the other day and had a great time. So shout out to the Krager family for inviting us there, and we all had a great evening and great meal and great ice cream afterwards. Or milkshake, I guess you'd say. It was fantastic. But she talks about the same thing when she's at the restaurant there. And I'm telling you, folks, I cannot believe the amount of money she makes in tips. It almost makes me, well, man, what the heck's going on here? Well, all she's doing is adding salt and light in people's lives. She'll go up to the table and she'll just, hey, my name's Madeline. How's your day today? Are you having a good day, I hope? Oh, I love that smile, just complimenting people on different things instead of just coming up to the table and saying, I'm Madeline. I'll be waiting on you today. What can I get you? No, she does a little bit extra. And I said, well, how do you handle Madeline? Some people are rude. And she goes, well, like a lot of times she'll come up and the person will say, Diet Coke. Not hi, how are you? Or this or that. And she told me that. And I said, well, what do you say? And she goes, I'll say, okay, well, I'll get you that Diet Coke. By the way, my name is Madeline. I'll be taking care of you today. Here's our specials. If there's anything else I can get you, let me know, but I'll be right back with that Diet Coke. And thanks for coming in and seeing us today. And I'm like, holy cow. So she comes back, and some people, we never know what's going on in people's lives. I'm not ever, and I will never, ever justify anyone being rude. There's just no call and no need for that, especially if someone's trying to help you in a restaurant, right? Or trying to help you with whatever. You're at a gas station and somebody's ringing you out, or any service industry. When someone's trying to help you and they're being polite, the very least you could do is be polite back. And even if they are rude, it's easy to try and jump on it. Well, they were rude to me, so I'm going to be rude back to them. I get it. I would love to tell you I'm perfect at it. I'm not. I struggle with that. But just having the conversation, just talking about salt and light right now and having that little conversation with Madeline and hearing her, and then, of course, going to work and seeing her and seeing the smile she brings to so many people, man, it's gets me all goosey bumpy here just talking about it. And then, of course, I got to give a shout out to my buddy Emmett, too. He does the same thing. People look at him like he's got three heads. It's like, who is this 14-year-old kid here? He's saying please and thank you and yes and no and ma'am and sir. And those that don't know, he just won for his hockey team. He won the Sportsman of the Year award, which is given out to on his team for the player that displays the best sportsmanship, with the right attitude, the right amount of effort, being respectful, going and shaking the referee's hands after every game, not only shaking the other players' hands, but shaking the other coaches' hands, and just being respectful on the bench, trying his very best. Each practice, he's one of the first ones on the ice, one of the last ones off the ice, and in the locker room. I mean, that's good. And yeah, I'm bragging on my kids here. I'm bragging on them because it's rightly deserved. Now, I would like to think I had a little bit to do with that, but my wife had a lot to do with it as well. But it's just about these messages. And I tell you that because all my messages are about this, and I encourage folks to share these messages. Let your kids listen to this in the car. So if you found value in this, play and listen to it again. Zig Ziglar again, always encourages you to listen to things more than once, because you're always going to pick something else up when you listen a second, third, or fourth time. And why is that? Because each time you listen to it, you're at a higher level of learning. So you're going to pick up something that maybe you missed because your mind was thinking about something else. Or maybe you were focused, like right now listening, your whole thing is focusing on right now, you're stuck thinking about the story of Madeline at the restaurant. So you missed the thing about Emmett. When you listen again, you may pick up the thing about Emmett. Or you may miss the part that I talked about Austin working for Howard Partridge, which is business partners with Tom Ziegler. How is that related to salt and light? Well, collectively, all trying to work together to add that salt, add that light to people's lives. And you think about throwing a pebble in a pond, that pebble creates ripples that go across the pond. Well, I like to say, look, man, let's all work together and pick up this massive, giant boulder and throw that sucker in the pond. That'll do more than create ripples. That'll splash the banks. And how are we going to affect more people? How are we going to make society a happier, healthier, and safer place to live? It starts off with salt and light, those little things I was talking about. Now, that salt and light, as we mentioned earlier about the karma coming back, think about how much better you're going to feel. Yeah, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. And here's the crazy thing. When you feel good, what do you want to do? Well, you want to continue feeling good. And you don't want to lose that good feeling. Well, how'd you get the good feeling? By adding salt and light in people's lives. So you're going to keep doing those things. And it's going to keep coming around more and more and more. Now, those that listen all the time, and for our new listeners, I am not a believer in the whole world's sunshine and rainbows, and there's nothing bad going on. No, there's a lot of bad going on. There's a lot of evil out there. I don't want to bring you down, but I'm telling you that because you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have your peaks and valleys. But I promise you, the more you focus on being salt and light in people's lives, empowering them, it helps out tremendously. It helps you get you through. And then the more you get through, the more you help out others, more kind people are in the world, more people that need that love, that hope, that faith, that belief. Is it getting better than that? Huh? Good stuff, huh? Yes. And giving shout outs to all my kids. Got to give a shout out to my wife who really keeps me. And I got a very, very active, creative mind, which is a blessing. I was never diagnosed with ADD or ADHD or OCD or all the other Ds as a kid, but I'm quite sure as an adult I got it. So I used to think it was a curse, meaning, man, why do I have so much energy? Why am I so hyperactive? Why am I this? And well, now I realize that's my blessing from God. Now, with every blessing, you got to make sure you keep it in some type of parameter, right? Because if not, it just rolls out and it's out of control. And oftentimes that's what happens to me. The mind gets to wandering and goes down a path it probably shouldn't go down. And then it tries to start, I don't want to say solving. Well, I guess it is solving problems. And you want to try to help out as many people as you can. At least that's kind of my mission in life, is to empower 10 million people with hope, faith, and confidence to believe in themselves. But oftentimes you run into people that for whatever reason, maybe they're just having a bad day, or just maybe they have no tolerance and they don't like or care for you, and you keep trying to chip away at them. Now that sounds honorable, and it is. My wife constantly reminds me, look, as much as you don't want to hear this, not everybody wants to hear your message. Not everybody wants you to add salt and light to them. Well, why not? Well, either they're not ready for it, or they just flat out don't like you. And I'm telling you that, passing that on, that's a nice right hook of reality, because that's the reality of life. And here's the kind of point of the message is, if I spend all my time trying to, I guess, convince somebody to like me, then I'm really turning my back on all the people that do like me and want to hear my message. So here's my wife's right hook of reality. And she didn't say it in quite this manner because she's not this rude. But this is the way I heard it. Oftentimes, isn't that how it is? Doesn't matter how the person says something, it's how you hear it. And that's the same thing when you talk to other people. I got somebody the other day, they listened to one of my video blogs, and the reply was, well, I thought you were going to help me with bullying, but you're kind of aggressive. You kind of intimidated. You kind of scared me. And I thought, oh, well, that was not my intentions. My intentions are, look, if you lay there and cry about it, you're going to continue getting bullied. Now get your butt back up. Let's fight another round, and let's overcome these battles. Let's overcome these fears, these challenges. And that's just kind of, and I want to help as many people as I can, but at the same time, I can't change who I am either. But anyway, what I heard my wife say when she said, certain people don't like you, is the more you keep fighting to try and get people that will never like you, will never listen to your message, will never subscribe to your podcast or YouTube channel or buy your books or hire you to speak, the more you do that, you're kind of self-serving your own ego to say, I won. I won that person over. See, now I know what's good for them. That's tough to handle, isn't it? But it's exactly right. And the whole point of that is, well, I'm working on one person. I'm turning my back on millions that need, and love to hear the messages. So I share that with you because, yes, put as much salt and as much light out there as you can. But at the same time, realize not everybody is going to like you or like your message. And that's okay, because I promise you, there's millions, if not billions, that will. Every time you say, hey, how are you today? You're not going to get a polite reply back. And it's unfortunate because we get one negative and then we shut it down. Almost like same thing here. You get, 100 or sometimes thousands of likes and comments on post, and then I get one negative. And what do I focus on? The negative. Now you might be saying, well, yeah, you're not perfect. No, I am not perfect. I'm the furthest thing from being perfect. But my point is, why wouldn't I take in the 1,000 of likes and say, okay, maybe I'm doing something right. Yes, I could always improve. Yes, I could always get better. And I'm very humble about that. I'm doing everything I can to continue improving and getting better. But at the same time, don't take all my focus off the positive, the good, and focus on that one negative. Maybe that person was having a bad day. Maybe that person, once again, just doesn't like you. Now, if you know it's something, if it's justified, constructive criticism to help you, man, take it and work with it and improve. But it's just somebody that has nothing better to do but try and bully you online. Got a little term for that. It's called love, block, and delete. Love people because God says we're supposed to love everybody, but God also says you're supposed to love yourself. So that means don't tolerate that nonsense. Block and delete those people and move on. Because I promise you, there's millions, if not billions, out there that will love you. They will appreciate what you're trying to do to help add salt and light into their lives. Sound good? So what do you think? Good show? Well, if you loved it, please, even if you just liked it, hopefully you loved it, share it with others. Listen to it again. Make sure your kids listen to it. Subscribe to our podcast. And, of course, those 5-star reviews really help pump us up in those search results engines so people can find us more. And, of course, collectively, if we're working together, that's more than just throwing those pebbles in the pond. That's throwing that boulder in the pond, adding more salt and light out into the world, building that self-confidence and becoming self-empowered to believe in ourselves. And as I mentioned earlier, make sure you check out our YouTube channel as well. And it's youtube.com. What is it? What's the @ symbol? Warrior Confidence. And we're redoing, kind of refocus again on our Facebook and Instagram pages as well. And that's Building Warrior Confidence with Master Grogan. So make sure you check those out. And they're going to be more centrally focused on that warrior confidence aspect of building that hope, faith, and confidence and belief in yourself, that inner strength, that get back up when life knocks you down. You know, it's not a matter of if, but when. And then, of course, what you can do to be the best parent, the best coach, the best son, daughter, sibling, the best spouse, to be your absolute very, very best. To kind of a central theme, the salt and light, bring that to not only yourself, but to others in the world. Does that sound good? Yeah, good. And just a little tease moving forward, like I mentioned, got an episode coming up really, really soon, and it's going to be about taking that first hardest step. And like I said earlier, I think I just skim over my notes here. My mind's all over the place again. Is that will have already been, should have aired on YouTube. So you can definitely check that baby out and see that, that YouTube, I guess it's an episode, video blog. And then you'll hear the podcast coming up real soon. Because I know some people listen to and watch YouTube, some people listen to podcasts, and some people do both. So that's why I'm trying to get a message out to as many people in as many different places as I can to help empower them with that salt and light, to believe in themselves, to become empowered, to build that bully-proof armor, to eventually become bully-proof. Yeah, and that's not just bullies on the playground. That's bullies in your mind or any challenge you're facing. Good? All right. So quick recap of what we covered today. We talked about salt and light. I brought it up many, many times. Salt adds value. Light adds brightness. I want you to think about whose life could you add some salt and light to? Of course, our own, but there's so many others. And when we pass that on, boy, I tell you what, it comes right back at us. Well, I hope you found value in the message. And as always, thank you so very, very much for listening today. I'm truly, truly grateful for your time. And, I really hope you found value in this. And I hope that it's exactly what you needed to hear today to give you that extra confidence, that extra belief in yourself, to courageously stand out in the crowd and take on any challenge or any bully you're facing now or faced in the past or going to face in the future, both real and in your mind. Sound good? All right, remember, we are all unique gifts from God. We all have the power to be the hero of our own life and the lives of others. So keep believing in yourself. Continue building that warrior confidence. Can you do it? Absolutely you can. Folks, I love you. God loves you. Please share that love with the world. And until we talk again, you get out there and do your best, and I promise you'll be your very best. God bless you. God bless your loved ones. I can't wait to chat with you again real soon. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for listening in today. I am truly grateful for your time. My goal is to empower 10 million people with hope, faith, and confidence to believe in themselves to become bully-proof. But I can't do it alone. So if you found value in this message, please share it with someone else who could benefit from it. And by subscribing, and leaving a 5-star review. Remember to stay empowered throughout the week by visiting our social media channels, Grogan's Bully Proof, and our website, grogansbullyproof.com. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to pick up copies of all our Bully Proof books for yourself and someone you care about. Thank you again, and make it a blessed day.